everyone, welcome to another Classic Movie Monday, and today I will be diving into the 90s film, The Silence of the Lambs. Yes, this one I've been actually wanting to review for quite some time. I just never got around to watching the film, and also I kind of wanted to wait till a certain time to do it, but I figure since this one is largely more of a crime drama, then it's sort of appropriate to do it at least around this time. Um, Usually I like to save horror type films for my October month, but I figure I might as well just throw this one out there since it's been one that been wanting to do for some time. So without further ado, this particular crime drama follows a student at the FBI's academy, and her name is Clarice Starling, who is played by none other than Jodie Foster. And basically, she's sort of given an assignment to interview Hannibal Lecter, who is played by none other than Anthony Hopkins, who is basically a murderer and a cannibal. And he has some information about this other serial killer who is on the loose. And basically, it's sort of Jodie Foster's farm to, in doing so, in the process of interviewing him, trying to get that information out of Hannibal Lecter and trying to find this other crazy guy who commits heinous acts onto people, in particular women, within this film. But what I think really works in regards to why this film is so famous is pretty much how everything is set up within this film, from the stories, the characters, the acting. Everything just flows pretty seamlessly well and to a T. It works to the point of being eerie, being grotesque, being full of tension. It just has all of the good elements of a crime drama, and it elevates those parts to it too, because usually within a lot of traditional crime dramas, usually it's about, sort of interviewing suspects and finding the murderer. But here it's a lot more than that, because not only do you get a psychological look into Hannibal Lecter and as to what kind of sort of a psychopath and monster he is, but you also get to see the kind of grotesque elements that oftentimes weren't really explored in a lot of earlier crime dramas, and they really do try to show you the evil that these killers have, and how they get the victims to, or at least seduce the victims to be captured, and what they do to the victims. So it really adds a whole nother layer to these kinds of films that you usually don't see, because usually oftentimes you get either a horror film where there is the protagonist trying to escape a crazy murderer slash serial killer slash monster, or it is sort of, again, more strictly a crime drama where you don't really see the killer, and you don't really know what's going on with the psychological and heinous aspects of crime. You just sort of see the plot elements and how the protagonist gets from one area to another. And again, they're adding in all of these this film adds in so much more of these things together to make it a lot more interesting and engaging. And it also ends on a fairly interesting note as well. And I know there have been, I think, some sequels made that sort of connect to this particular story, but I don't even want to explore those, because those aren't the ones that got any comparable amount of attention that this film did get. And ultimately, you want to see the protagonist, in particular, Carice, to succeed. Because even though she's, she's not really I wouldn't say she's the typical tough uh, woman character. She's just a a woman sort of doing her job and trying to um, ultimately catch the bad guy, and she does it in a way that's um, more so, I think, realistic, and in a way that actually um, actually gives, I think, credence to her capabilities, and it makes her whole struggle, I think, a lot more realistic and kind of down to earth. And I really did appreciate that within this film. I liked the fact that it went in that direction. And again, I was glad that this didn't play into any kind of gender politics or any of that. But you see the kind of um, person that she ultimately is, and you kind of see how Hannibal Lecter in particular sort of taps into that, and you really see her whole backstory into getting into the line of work that she does get into. And so it really ultimately all ties in together into this well thought out and well executed film. And it's definitely one for the ages. It's one that people remember from the lines of dialogue in particular, especially from not only Hannibal Lecter himself, but also the other serial killer who the protagonists are trying to find. Um, but I think that's really all I can say about it without really giving too much away. But I think it's definitely worthy of recommendation if you're interested in these kinds of films, and if you don't mind it being a little bit uncomfortable at times, especially with these kinds of grotesque elements they add in there. Again, it is no way in shape or form a slasher, but it has its very uncomfortable and very kind of just gross moments. But yeah, I think that's really all I can say though. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year. Feel free to leave any questions, comments, concerns. But until then, and next time, everybody, bye bye.